All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Decoding the AI Hype, a practical guide to agents, copilots, and more. I'm happy to be here with you today. I'm your host, Ryan Dolley, and I'm joined today by Peter Fedorocko, who will be coming on board in just a moment. Peter, say hi to everybody.
Hi everyone, and good to see you, Ryan, tonight.
Yeah, it's good to see you too. So, a little bit of housekeeping, some things to cover before Peter and I jump into it. What are we going to talk about? Well, we're going to talk about the new AI front end for data. And I think really what this is driven from is a lot of our customers are starting to really scale beyond just dashboards and reports for what they're offering to their customers. And this is just developing really rapidly. So we want to help share with you what we see people doing and kind of give you the vocabulary and ability to figure out, okay, what should I build within my organization? So we'll talk through that. We'll do a little demo of an app, an anonymized sort of app that's in line with something one of our customers built. And of course, we'll take Q&A throughout the presentation. So if you've been to a GoodData presentation before, you know that we are not just asking you to hold your questions for the end and then we'll do some Q&A session in the last 5 minutes. If you see something, you have a question, a comment, whatever it is, get your questions into the Q&A. I am monitoring it as we present, and Peter and I will answer your question or discuss your point as we go. Of course, all attendees are muted upon entry, and if you've registered for this, you will get a follow-up email in your inbox sometime, probably early next week. Okay, of course, who are we? Well, for the longest time, GoodData has been known as an embedded analytics vendor, and of course that is what we are, but things are changing so rapidly, and this is a big part of what Peter and I are going to talk about today, that just delivering dashboards and charts to your end users is no longer enough. That is not going to allow you to produce the high quality, monetizable data products that your customers love, right? And now the AI products that they're demanding. And so what we offer at GoodData is really an end-to-end platform that allows you to store and prepare data, contextualize and kind of productize that data, and then present it through a variety of end user experiences that might look like BI or might look like some custom data or analytics app. And that's really what we're focusing on today, an AI app, I should say. And that's really what we're focusing on today. So it's the end-to-end story of how you turn your data into an AI product that people love is really what we deliver. So let's just jump into it. What does the AI BI front end of the future look like? And I think where I want to start here is with this, just you see it at the top, AI is here to stay. So we see, of course, there are still naysayers, but they are growing to be fewer and fewer as time goes on. And we see within our customers a really rapid embrace of what it is that they can deliver with our platform and with the AI features that we've put into it. So it's changing the world, AI is, and the questions and the use cases our customers are coming to us with have changed a lot. I would say, especially in the last 6 months. And it's gone way beyond just, hey, can you help build me a chatbot? I think that's what it was a year and a half ago. And there's nothing wrong with building a chatbot, right? That could be your first step. But there's a lot more that can be done now, and that's what we're going to demystify for you today. Peter, I don't know if there's anything you want to add to this. You talk to a lot of these customers.
Yeah, and obviously, like as you said, a lot of our customers, right, they are from businesses and they see how AI is already impacting them, right? With everything that OpenAI is launching with a Shopify or with a Stripe, right? Agentic commerce protocol, agentic shopping systems, right? So shopping coming to chatbots. Advertisement in chatbots, right? The vibe coding that everyone's doing from the morning till the end, right? So they see, and I think this is why this last 6 months have been really transformational, because they start seeing it's not only about the ChatGPT, but how these tools and technologies are really starting to change and disrupt their businesses. And obviously they're coming to us and asking, we want to change as well, right? We also want to build this AI-powered data applications for our customers, or how we can leverage AI for our own internal use, right? What will be the new user experience in terms of how we consume data? in the AI world, or what is even a legal and regulatory framework that governs all of these initiatives, right? So these are the
Yeah,
questions because they see now very tangibly how AI impacts their businesses.
absolutely. And so what we see really, we see this happening, of course, across the economy, but we see it in BI as well. And I think the main way I understand it is that we really are, by layering in the AI capabilities, what you're going to see in BI analytics is that it becomes faster, better, and cheaper to actually deliver outcomes, right? Because the BI systems and the analytics systems themselves will layer in some intelligence to help guide people to get the right data at the right time to make the right decision. And that's what we've always been chasing in BI. And frankly, we kind of hit a wall, I think, before AI came along, where the previous paradigm of, hey, we're going to make a bunch of dashboards and give it to our customers or our users, and then some magic will happen, and then boom, value, right? We really are seeing a path forward out of that with the layering in of BI or AI into BI and analytics. And so there's a lot of promise, but there's a lot of confusion, and that's what we're going to help dispel today. So the first thing I would say is your instincts in the past have been, hey, we have a particular use case or customer community, and so let's build a dashboard for them. And that's not wrong, but I think what you're going to see is that maps onto a variety of different experiences that you could offer using AI. So in the past, where it was no matter what you were going to do, no matter who you were serving, you knew the dashboard was going to be the core thing that you were offering. And that's not going to be true anymore. And so you see some terms on this slide: copilot, assistant, autopilot. We will talk through what those mean. And I think that's one of the main takeaways from today's presentation is to give you the structure and the language so that you understand maybe how to build, like what the right interface is for the right audience. It's not just going to be a dashboard for everything. That doesn't mean dashboards are going away, but a dashboard might be part of a copilot or part of an assistant, right? And not just the end all be all thing that you're delivering. So that kind of takes us to what we see as really the four types or even levels of end user AI data interfaces that we are designing for and with customers right now. And so that would be assistants, copilot.
It seems that we lost Ryan for a while. Hopefully he will be back in a minute. We're trying to get him back online. He's not able to join. Maybe I can save this and continue with his presentation. Let me just pull it up. I hope you can see my presentation. Okay, I'll go back a couple of slides because I'm not sure how much have you heard from Ryan. So we spoke about this tectonic shift that AI is bringing to the industries, and our customers are seeing it. And what this brings and what we hear where the industry is moving. And I personally have been in data for the last 18 years, starting in IBM shortly after the financial crisis, is that we are finally moving from creating and selling and offering data interfaces into data intelligence. And there are two reasons for that. The one is we now do have a technology, the AI, LLMs, agents that we can put beyond and behind every visualization, every dashboard, and every data set, and make them really intelligent, right? So they don't just show you data, they can explore the data for you, they can tell you why. And the second thing is the LLMs are really good at working with the text, right? So while the BI has been always about taking the spreadsheets and the databases, the structured data, and report on top of them, we can now bring unstructured data into a stack thanks to LLMs, right? And create much more richer experience, right? Which means that the things that industry always struggle with, like what is the ROI of my dashboard, is changing, right? Because we can now attach an ROI to this data intelligent products, right? Because they are making things faster, better, and cheaper for the users. And hey, Ryan, happy to see you back. I just made a couple of steps back because I wasn't sure how much we were able to hear from your previous slides.
Yeah, it's no problem. Sorry, everybody. I don't know what happened there. My internet like went down for 3 minutes. I was about to join on my phone actually, and then it came back. So apologies. If that happens again, I will just dial in from mobile, and you're going to have to drive, Peter. So
Okay.
I'm not sure where we left off.
Yeah. I provided my personal view on this tectonic
Great,
shift from the data interfaces to data intelligence, and
great.
obviously what it means is, every dashboard that you have been thinking about, we right now see that the customers, right, and this was the data interfaces. We see that the customers are now coming to us and they want to change as well, right? So they are thinking about how can we actually turn our conversion dashboard into a conversion optimization, right? So we are not only looking at our conversions, but we have an AI that can actually optimize and maybe make a little more money for me. Or if we have the inventory, right? We are just don't want to look at inventory. We want to make sure that we have an AI that can proactively go and relocate my inventory if I see any stockouts or something that is soon expiring, right? So I'll save a little more money. And the same for the portfolios and the churns and the transactions and the root cause analysis, right? So everyone's thinking about how we move from these data interfaces into this data intelligence, right? And maybe I can, give it back to you, Ryan, and we can discuss together about this
Yeah,
different kind of experience that we do see that AI is, bringing into the data world.
absolutely. I think what you see here is really, in the old world, you just built dashboards for everything. And now you're going to be, yeah, you'll still be building dashboards, but there's a lot more you can add that goes beyond that, right? And so, what we kind of see, and this is useful for categorizing what it is you could build as that data experience is almost these four different categories. We'll talk through what each one of them means a little bit, and then we'll demo an example of one of them for you that was built with GoodData. But that would be assistants, copilots, autopilots, and agents. And correct me if I'm wrong, Peter, but is the idea here, like as you move from left to right, like what's increasing is autonomy, right?
What's increasing is autonomy. When I talked to one of our distinguished engineer, he taught me last week and he educated me last week that even our assistant in the background is an agent, right?
Yeah.
It's all agent, and it's only about the autonomy and the complexity. So behind each of these kind of different nomenclatures and different types of AI, it's all agents, right? But the differences are really about how do you interact with AI, right? Um, Coming from like a simple interaction, we do, which everyone knows, like chatbots, right? The assistants, where I go in, they live inside. These could be a standalone apps, or they can live inside some of your applications, and I can go in and I can start initiate the discussions. To copilots, which are a little more inline experience. You don't have the chat, right? You are working with something like in this example that we do have here, and we'll show the bigger picture where I have the Sankey chart. I'm exploring the different paths that my customers are going through. But obviously, like these paths, there's hundreds and thousands of these paths. It's gigantic. I don't have the capacity to go through all of them, and not even like comparing them to how the conversions change, for example, from the last month. But we can have the copilot that comes in, pops in line within this visualization, and actually say, hey, Peter, there's something interesting. I see that the conversions on this particular path. So it expands the path for me and say, hey, take a look here, right? And this is the example of this inline experience where I'm not actually chatting with it, and I don't have the chat interface, but I rather have the copilot that pops in whenever I need it and gives me some additional context, and obviously then I can go in a conversation with that agent. Do you want me
Yeah.
to continue with this? With
No,
the
I mean,
copilots?
I think we
Yeah.
have some good examples of this to share with people. I think
Yeah.
why don't you go to the next slide, and then we can. So the first level of this is assistance, and this is the one you're undoubtedly most familiar with. Yeah. We have an assistant in GoodData. Most BI tools have an assistant, and the generic BI assistant experience right now is you can chat with it, you can maybe explore what data points are available, and then you can build some visualizations out of it. And a lot of times that's it, right? If you look at some of our competitors, like now you're done, right? With us, of course, you can then take those things you built with the assistant and put it into a dashboard or customize it in Analytics Designer. So there's a path between the assistant and the rest of the BI suite. But this is kind of a generic, BI AI assistant experience. There's a next level to this. And if you go to the next slide, Peter, I think this is what you're going to see is, and this is what we enable you to do or will enable you to do with what we have launching over the next couple months in GoodData, is the ability to make really kind of a use case specific or more tailored assistant. So this is an assistant that uses the right nomenclature, understands the verbiage and the perspectives of your end users, and is not a generic BI assistant, but is geared towards a very specific analysis task, right? So within GoodData, you have the generic BI assistant, but then in this example, you could create an assistant that really exists to help analyze investor portfolios and suggest rebalancing steps that investor could take. And then using our platform, of course, you could have 8, 10, 15 different assistants and integrate them together into kind of one chat flow, but maybe different assistants are being called in at different times to address different tasks. Is that accurate, Peter?
Yeah. We, as you know, we spend a lot of time we're making sure that our assistant, our GoodData assistant, is not a ChatGPT wrapper, right? But it's a really enterprise-grade data privacy and no hallucination, right? Which is something that I tend to call our AI philosophy, right? Making sure we never share data with LLMs, making sure that they can never hallucinate, right? Because they're grounded in our semantic model. And shortly after we launched our assistant, and this was a big eye-opener for me, our customers start coming to us and saying like, we love your philosophy, but we want to, tens and dozens of different of these agents, right? And all of them, they should have one should have a different tone of voice, and one should have some specific instructions, and one should have some additional knowledge, right? And one should have some special access to data or tools, right? So using our foundation, like agentic foundation, on top of which we build our assistant and start creating, the clones with special instructions, right? And so this is the experience that we are enabling to do very quickly through a couple of steps in a wizard. Make sure that you can get all of our best practices of designing like enterprise-grade assistants, but then tailor it to your needs. And yeah, we really see, I think one of the things that I see in the industry is coming to more and more granular agents, right? So that's the first step where you have these good foundations, then you create these granular steps, granular agents, and then you start connecting them to agentic workflows. And when we look what OpenAI just launched last week with agentic workflows, I think that's definitely a future, right? Like have your army of agents, everyone designed and instructed for a specific task, and then let them work together in a bigger chains, like in this really goal-oriented agentic workflows. So that's one fundamental step.
And I think the way you'll see this eventually tie together is, so we have this, in this example, we've got this portfolio rebalancing assistant. You're analyzing your portfolio. It's suggesting things you could do. Now, the agentic step would be to say, okay, go do it, right? Sell those positions, buy these other positions. Yeah. Maybe dollar cost average me into the new allocation over the course of 6 months, and to have it actually be able to do that, right? That's kind of the agentic step here. We do have a couple questions that I want to address. So Shannon Walton asks, do we have a FedRAMP moderate certification? Shannon, we're working on FedRAMP certification. We don't have one yet. We do have a version of the software that is deployable within any data center. And so if you have a FedRAMP compliant data center, Of course, you can deploy our software into it, and we would inherit the FedRAMP compliance in a way from that deployment option. But as far as our software itself having a certification, that's something we're working on. And then we did have an anonymous attendee just ask, I joined late. Can you share the recording after the event? Absolutely. Every GoodData webinar, you will get a link to a copy of the recording after the event. So I'm glad you could make it. Okay, so that's an assistant, right? And there's kind of the generic BI assistant, and then there's the more customized use case specific assistant. The next level of this, of course, is a copilot. So this is now something that is kind of helping to analyze the data alongside you, right? This is more of a, not a Q&A, but more of like a guided experience as you're looking at the data. What distinguishes an assistant from a copilot?
Yeah, I know. That I already touched base a little bit on top of it, and I think we will definitely go into like how we see the future and everything. All of this type of AI is actually working together on the one canvas. But here we see that there is a lot of low-hanging fruits in not developing a new experience, and this is what I have been already talking about. But like taking the intelligence and putting them behind an existing and complex visualization, and your AI working for you. Obviously, it's not only, again, this is not only a use case that I look at the visualization, and when I say I mean like AI, and summarize and describes what I see. So I see like a free paths. It's really, leveraging good data, connecting to the data that are behind, analyzing them, and then surfacing within this UI, within this context, the information that may be important for users. Right, so you don't need to open a chat and start asking a question or initiate some conversation. It's like as you work, the AI is there to help you basically make your work faster. Right, I don't need to open 50 different paths here on this visualization to find the one that is important. The AI does the work for me as I open the visualization and then points me to the right direction.
Absolutely. Okay, let's. The next level then, of course, is an autopilot. And this is really where it is coming to you, right? And saying, hey, here's the things you should know. Yeah. Rather than you kind of going in and it being a guided tour. Is this more of like a, hey, I detected this condition. Here it is, alerting you proactively to what's going on.
Yeah. And I think this is another piece in the puzzle. Like everything needs to work together, but we hear obviously from a lot of customers, they're interested in assistance, but they understand that in some extent, the assistance is just a different way how you can get into a visualization, but you need to still have a question. You need to still do the work of asking the prompt and get to the visualization, right? And Autopilot is something that we see even bigger interest with our customers, because this is where AI proactively goes in and do some work for you, and analyzing the data, monitoring something, and then sending you a notification, sending you the alert with something that it found, right, and notifying you about something, right, that happens, like we see on the screenshot where you have like a high CLV customers that were supposed to purchase something but they did not, and then we see the third step, which is obviously AI not taking any steps on its own, right? Making sure that there is still a human in the loop, but maybe suggesting you the action that you can do. And we will be also speaking about the recommendations, right? So we see a lot of use cases right now coming into how can we actually create this intelligence AI and data automation that proactively push something to me, show me the insight, explain insight to me, give me the key driver or root cause analysis or like a very good explanation. And I know that we have like one more example on the next slide. And then give me the recommendation or give me the recommended action, right, that I can take. So you close the loop, right? AI working for something. It's not only giving you the insight, it's also giving you a suggestion what you should do. So a lot of customers obviously see a lot of value for it because you don't need to go in and manually analyze the data. You don't need to go and initiate the conversation. Basically, the AI insights are coming your way.
Yep. And then the final level, and we'll touch on this briefly. I do want to make sure we have plenty of time for the demo. So We'll get through these last couple examples quickly. I see, Jack, your question. We'll answer your question, and then we'll jump into the demo. So the last step is an agent. This is where we start talking about, okay, here's the condition. Here's what I think you should do. And then, a human can trigger the agent to actually take the actions. In this example, this is kind of an inventory optimization where we're going to move some products from one location to another location in order to optimize waste, for example.
Yeah.
But the agent could actually take that action. It could go into the operational systems and trigger the things that need to happen in order for that product to be moved. And that's really kind of the most autonomous level, where the agent is analyzing it, it's coming to the conclusions, and then it's also taking the actions necessary to have some change in another piece of software, or even take change that results in something happening in the real world, right?
Yeah. Well, everything that we have shown so far is agent, but the question is the complexity, right? Like obviously, even the assistant, there is an agent behind that has a guardrails, right? It has some primitive decision logic, like how it should respond to your question if it's off topic. Inventory also, the autopilots that we talk about, it's also an agent, right, that needs to go and look for customers that, based on your prompts, the customers that did not purchase and were supposed to purchase. But here, agents are really about, like, real agents are about, it's agentic workflow, right? So you give it a goal, you give it the tools, you give it the instructions, and then agents go in and start working towards that goal, right? So in this case, looking for, what are the different locations, calculating different routes, how the inventory can be actually channeled, looking for inventory levels, and then making this plan and coming up with a proposal, right? So it's like next level of intelligence, I would say.
Yep. Awesome. So let's jump to the next slide. The one after this, if you could.
Sorry, I know that we.
Yeah, it's good. So a couple points.
The slides from you is
well, when you have technical difficulties, you got to roll with it, right?
Yeah.
So a couple points to make before we jump into the demo. The last one really is, so everything you've seen here, the critical thing to understand is that if you are going to ask people to come into some BI or data specific environment to interact with these things, I think you're going to run into that adoption cap that we talked about at the beginning of the presentation, where it's just taking people out of flow, taking them out of context. What you need to be able to do is identify the right experience from the 4 levels that we've shown you today, and then embed it into the place where people actually do their work. This means within the operational workflows, within the decision-making environments. That is where you're going to have success, right? So that's, I think that is in many ways one of the most crucial things to take away from today's presentation, actually, is that if you go, okay, we're going to have some AI screen and everybody's going to go to the AI environment to use the agents. No. The agents need to be where people do their work, right? And that is where you're going to achieve liftoff. If you go to the next slide, Peter, the one thing to note is that when you start to succeed with this, you're gonna see a different level of infrastructure need here. So the world that you and your customers have been living in, you see on the left-hand side of this slide, where a data analyst is putting in 10 or 50 or maybe across your population of analysts 100 queries in an hour, and that is going to change dramatically. These agents are going to be looking at the data much more frequently. There's going to be a lot more going on on your data platform, and the endpoints are going to be much more varied. So what that really means, and this is what we're designing for, and I think those of you who've been customers of ours for a while have seen this. If you go to the next slide, Peter, that you're going to need some new infrastructure pieces here. That's really the takeaway. So, if you think about today, how much you're spending on, say, Snowflake, and if you 10x or 100x the number of queries, how much you'll be spending in the future, that's really what I'm talking about. And so we're designing kind of an end-to-end experience to help you give the best end user product, but also mitigate the risks that come with, hey, now I'm going to have 1,000 agents that are each doing 100 queries an hour. That's a very different level of infrastructure tuning and potential costs that you need to mitigate. And that is what the GoodData end-to-end platform is all about. So I want to make sure we have time for the demo. And I also want to answer Jack's question since it's a great question. So I'll ask Jack's question, then we'll get into the demo, Peter.
Answer the question.
He says, you mentioned mitigating hallucinations. Could you share some of the techniques you've employed? I have found that when the data load in context is high, hallucinations also increase. What are you doing to focus the LLM attention on relevant data to respond without making things up?
Yeah, one short answer is semantic model and grounding everything in semantic model. Right now, this is a time where you see that companies that do have and invested into semantic model and can leverage the semantic model, they have a big advantage because I have explored a lot of like data analytics chatbots, and honestly, how they work is they take the first 10 rows, a sample of the like first 10 rows, send it to LLM and ask for an SQL query, right? And obviously the first red line is you're sharing the data with LLM. The second red line is how do you make sure that if you ask a more complex question, the SQL you get back is not hallucinating, right? It's not showing you, your margin is 30% and your customers, your users are like, oh, that's great, right? But how it was calculated. Well, we basically built our AI on top of our semantic model. That's the first thing. We vectorize and embed the semantic model into RAG, and all the questions that our users are asking to AI, we're not lean on LLM on everything, right? We take the best features of LLM, which is intent identification and this agentic workflow, but then when we make sure that we search and we find the relevant information that the user wants within the semantic model. And it's one of the reasons how you recognize a good AI assistant that is not hallucinating is when AI can tell you, I don't know, right? Because you ask margin and you don't have the margin in semantic model. Obviously, it's say, I don't know, because I don't have a definition of margin. The next question is what you should do. And here we see a lot of different opinions from a lot of different customers. Some of them are like, let AI extend the semantic model. Some of them are like, don't do this. We want to have a strong observability layer. We want to know that our customers are looking for margin, and then we'll go in and we'll create, we'll define it, right? Very important, and something that we are launching actually this week is in fact, now the quality of your AI depends on the quality of your semantic model. So what kind of tools the AI provider can give you to actually fine-tune your semantic model so you can implicitly improve the quality of your AI model. That's the reason why we just launched Analytics Catalog, AI Memory, and we will be launching one of our first agents that will proactively help you to improve the quality of your semantic model, right? So the agents coming in on your semantic model start working on it and improving it. So implicitly, the other agents that depends on the semantic model can give you better answers.
Awesome. Thanks, Peter. So let's jump into the demo now and just give you an example of again, this is kind of anonymized, but it's the type of application that we're building with our customers right now so that you can get a feel for what things really look like in the real world.
Yeah. So what I wanted to show you is the application that we built for one of our customers that it combines both the assistant and agentic workflows, aka autopilots, in one interface. And I know that this doesn't look like a typical GoodData interface because a lot of things that we see from our customers these days is like building these new interfaces. There's home screens, AI home screen for their customers, right? And GoodData enables you to do it very easily. So everything you see here is just a custom UI. Everything else is actually built on top of a GoodData. Semantic model sitting in GoodData. Assistant that you see at the top here, that's a GoodData assistant, just white labeled for this application. Agentic workflows, the two agentic workflows that I will be speaking about, also built in GoodData. The visualizations coming from the GoodData SDK, right? So this is a really beautiful thing because I spent a lot of time in my previous companies working on the automated insights, and it took us always a year to build such application. The prototype you see today, it has been built by a couple of people within a week, right? Because we really focus only on the definition of these agentic workflows and how the UI should look like and what should be the UX. Everything else we get out of the box from GoodData. So I'm a senior manager. I have this application in front of me, and now I have two options, right? I can go in and I can start asking questions. So I can go into this mode where I initiate the conversation and I ask something. I know that we are limited on time, so I was talking to this application, before we started the webinar about what are my transactions in Argentina, right? And then I wanted to split it by KYC level, right? So it gave me this KYC level, and then I see maybe this is not relevant, so I just ask it to show me only 6 months, right? So I can go into this assistant experience, all powered by GoodData, just a different UI. But then our customer and the customer that we did this pilot together, they had a different view about this application. They wanted to combine these two experiences. So assistant on top, but they also want to give some automated insights for the user so they can make a decision if they want to initiate the conversation or if they want to start browsing something interesting in their data right away. And that's the reason why we put two agentic workflows behind this application. The first one is looking for any anomalies or outliers in the data. Like, I can always go into insight, but the three most interesting insights I already have on my homepage. And I see that the total volume dropped by almost $1 million, $1 million month over month in the region Latin America. If I find this interesting, I don't need to go and ask the AI. I can really go into this insight and start exploring it. And again, this is like, imagine like this is all built on top of the data and AI automation with the GoodData, which is give it a very rich interface, right? So now I have a dedicated page for each alert with its own URL, so you can send it to someone. You have like a description of the insight, some key information about the insight, where it happened, Latin America, what was the value, what was the change, some description, and then the visualization. This visualization actually doesn't live anywhere in the GoodData. The agent took GoodData's SDK and embedded, like on the fly, created this visualization and embedded here. So I can go and I can verify visually, oh, indeed, there has been some decline. There is another assistant embedded inside this insight. So I can go and I can start asking some more specific questions about this insight or even what were the root causes. And now, again, we have been talking about the hallucination. When I ask about why did it happen, do I want AI to go in and start writing some Python and analyze the data and wait for it? No, we actually put another agentic workflow behind every insight. So every time that the insight is found, we kick another agent that starts proactively looking for root cause analysis, right? And when it analyzes all of the data and it finds something, that it sends me this message, right? So I can actually decide if I want to go into a chat and ask like, well, I don't know, what devices did cause this, right? Or if I want to start exploring the root causes in the visual form, right? So let's ask this. The root cause is actually the root causing agent actually leverages a feature that we are launching next week, something that we call key driver analysis. And so this will be a way how you can leverage ML and AI powered basically analysis capabilities that within a couple of seconds, the GoodData's AI come in, analyze hundreds and thousands of combinations, and then finds what were the main drivers behind these changes, right? So here I see, the root cause indicated that there was a decline related to a desktop, Android, and iOS users. The devices are showing significant drop that cumulatively affect the total value. Or I can go and I can explore visually these root causes, because this agent also created this visual page for me where I can see the executive summary. I can see like what was the analysis about. Then it creates for me this impact overview. So I see like what were the detractors and what were the things that actually performed well. And then it also creates this aggregated analysis for me. So it's not showing only like what were the main metrics, but it's also looking what were the clusters in the data where this was manifested very significantly. So for example, if I go here into this referral bonus campaign, which was one of the things that does influence the total transactions, I see that it was related mostly to users coming from a desktop interfaces, which is indeed something that the AI told me, right? Because the agent pre-calculated all the root causes that embedded them. So when I asked this question, the AI was not trying to analyze the data quickly and where it can hallucinate. It was really looking for the answers in this grounded data. Another very nice feature is it's also giving me a confidence that if, for example, look across all of the countries and we don't have a problem on a country, right? So it's giving me this green check where I have like the confidence that even though I don't need to go and slice and dice the data, probably I still can, but probably everything is okay, right? So desktop seems to be very interesting. I can go in and then I have another page dedicated for this particular factor, right? So now we see like all root causes desktop. They were indeed causing a lot of drop. We see like expected versus actual value. So we see like visually where the drop is coming from, because we expected that the value will be growing faster than it actually growed on the desktops. And then I have a second level like a factor analysis. So what were another factors, the smaller factors that were affecting this, this main factor, including the recommendation, which I'm not sure if we have time, but we do see a lot of demand these days about the recommendations. And this is also interesting when you think about it. And now it connects the unstructured data that I spoke about when you, Ryan, were offline, which is, how can you ask about the recommendations, right? You can ask AI to do a recommendation, but will it go and search the internet? Will it go and like take the knowledge from its internal memory? It's not going to be probably very valuable. What we do see a lot of customers that do have like internal methodologies or like instructions how to do recommendations, but they are all in unstructured data in text. And since like LLMs are really good with unstructured data, we do have a technology right now that can actually infuse all of this unstructured data and provide it as an additional context for an AI. So when the user asks us about the recommendation, it's not going to internet, it's actually going into this knowledge about the methodologies, and it's grounding its answers, and we can very effectively test it in this unstructured data, right? So this is like a very nice use case, and we do see a lot of use cases with unstructured data, but this is something that I see more and more often these days.
Now, one thing I want to make sure people understand, because you see a lot of in the kind of BI and analytics world right now, you see a lot of people trying to design these interfaces that are, okay, this is our agentic analysis interface. And of course, that's what you just saw. But the key thing that I think you need to understand is that that was an example driven by a particular customer's vision and use case. And what we give you at GoodData is not what you just saw out of the box, right? What we give you is all the tooling necessary and the components necessary to figure out what your customers need, right? And it may be a lot of what you just saw, but you may have been watching that and say, oh, wouldn't it be great if it also did this? Or, I don't think our customers need that, but they do need this other thing. All of that is possible with the GoodData platform. And that's one of the key things I think that you should take away from this presentation is really you need to look at what your customers and consumers really need, and then design the right set of agents and interfaces to deliver that. And that is going to look different, maybe across different customer types, or different levels of your offering. But that's really what we're laser focused on giving you. It's not kind of a generic agentic analysis experience. It is giving you the right capabilities and tools to deliver these types of experiences to your customers in the way they need it. It's going to drive profitability for you and also help maintain your infrastructure costs. Because as we talked about earlier, the traditional BI and data warehouse infrastructure was not made for this world. And we're going to see a kind of a problem with scale that we're here to help you solve as well. Thank you, Peter. That was awesome.
Thank you, Ryan.
We do have a question that someone asked I want to address. They ask, will a semantic model need to be defined within the GoodData platform, or do you have plans to integrate with external definitions like semantic views in Snowflake? I think there's probably a answer right now, which is, yeah, you do need to have a semantic model defined within GoodData. Now, look, generating that semantic model can be done entirely with code. And so, if you look at a platform like Snowflake, it's pretty easy. And we've had customers who've done this, who essentially using code build a metadata bridge where they look at what's in Snowflake and they're able to analyze that and then automatically build the semantic model within GoodData off of the metadata that's in Snowflake, and even keep that in sync over time. So that's one of the advantages that we find with our as code approach. It's not something we have out of the box today. Now, if it's something enough of our customers need, that's a different story, right? Then it could be something we look to build. But right now, it's kind of, if you have a different platform where you plan on storing your semantics, you can use the APIs to import those semantics into GoodData.
Yeah, it actually shows like as a code approach will be a defining feature of an AI era, because this is something that we see right now. I have seen a demo of our team just building from free prompts the whole semantic model.
Right.
Today, only because everything, the AI can very easily understand the code and then create the definitions of the semantic model. So you say a free prompts like what you need from your model, and then AI goes in and writes all of these definitions, which will manifest into a semantic model. So also migrations and making sure that you can maintain and then fine tune something that I was speaking about, like you can put agent on top of it and making sure that it's looking at your semantic model, it's changing it, it's evolving it, it's improving it, right? That would be much easier. Imagine that doing this with like a click and point semantic model.
No, it's impossible. All right. So if there are any more questions, let's go ahead and wrap things up there. Peter, if you could go to the Connect with GoodData slide.
Yeah.
So
Sure.
If you're one of our customers already, and what you just saw, you say, man, I want that. Reach out to your customer success rep. Peter and I and the rest of our team can come in and help start putting together a vision to get you from dashboards to the type of experience that we just showed you. And if you're not a GoodData customer, this is the perfect time to reach out to us and see what it is we can do to help you bring AI to your customers in a way that is going to really help drive adoption and profitability for the data that you have. Follow us everywhere. And also you can keep up with us. We have a big team going to the Money 2020 conference in Las Vegas in 2 weeks. I will be there. Peter, are you going to that?
No, unfortunately not.
Unfortunately not. Yeah. What a bummer. You don't get to go to Las Vegas.
Yeah, you'll do better.
I will be there. We'll have a big team there. Come say hi. And then coming up, we have on November 12th, specifically for AI and financial services, we're going to be doing a deep dive on what we're doing with our financial services and fintech customers. This is an area of real AI innovation right now. We're happy to share it with you. And then December 10th, the Q4 product update. So some of the things Peter mentioned that you can see in the next few weeks, of course, will already be in the product by then, but there's a lot coming in the next quarter or two related to our AI capabilities that you're going to want to be caught up on. So attend that webinar on December 10th.
Yeah. Or just reach out if you're more interested in this topic, because I think, Ryan, really, we touch base on like 1/3 of the things that I had in my mind. And then we are discussing with the customers every time I get in, like I want to like open a new topic, but I saw the time is running so quickly. And I'm like really sad that we are on the Connect with GoodData slide, because I think we can go for another hour.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. So we are out of time here today, folks. Let's go ahead and wrap things up. I want to thank you for joining us. Peter, thank you for coming on the webinar and helping to guide us through this. I think it's really exciting stuff, and we're really glad to have you here at GoodData helping us out with it. So thanks, everybody, and we will see you on November 12th for Agentic AI in financial services. Until then, take care. Bye.
Thank you, Ryan. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.